Good day and welcome to week 6, your final week of the Registered Behavior Technician Training Program, where we will begin the RBT Work Readiness Development modules. Your first module for this week will be the Rbt Mock Interview. Now, be sure to follow all steps, read and reread instructions. There is no opportunity to make up any assignments since this is the last week of training. If not completed in its entirety, your grade will stand. So, let's go over our summary. Last week, you successfully completed your RBT career portfolio. Today's project will build upon that, which we will create the Rbt mock interview, which is the next step in the hiring process after a potential employer has received your career portfolio that included your cover letter, resume, LinkedIn, link, etc. This project will team you up with a fellow student where you will perform as an interviewer and an interviewee. This project will be recorded using Zoom or ScreenPal. The objective of this project is for you to evaluate your interview performance visually so you can immediately see where you may need to improve or where you are simply doing a really good job and can clearly see your strengths and as well as your weaknesses. So let's get started with the mock interview instructions and the project for today. You're going to review the interview training guide using the link below. Here we go there. You're going to complete questions on page 4 of the training guide. You're then going to record those answers to those questions using your RBT workbook. Here's the link here. And then you're going to complete step 4, which is to complete the RBT interview scenario from your training guide and also team up with a fellow student. Record your scenario and upload that link to the RBT interview Google workbook. Have your volunteer or fellow student complete the RBT evaluation form. And if you're working with fellow students, you will already have the link for that evaluation form. If not, and you're using or working with someone in your family or a friend, then you will have to email it to them. Review their responses, watch the video yourself, and then complete the interview evaluation workbook and assess yourself as well. And then turn in all the documents to Google Classroom. So let's go ahead and take a look at your interview training guide. So here we're going to be discussing important steps in the hiring process for anyone interested in working as an RBT. And during the interview, what the hiring managers will evaluate your qualifications, recent training experience, etc. So here are some tips to help you prepare for that interview from the perspective of the interviewer. Next, we have some tips for you as the interviewee. So please take a look carefully and take good notes and read over each bullet item from 1 through 7. These tips can give you all the preparation that you will need for that RBT interview and increase your chances of securing the position. Next in the training guide is what we referenced previously, and that is you actually completing and being prepared with certain questions when going after an RBT interview. So, as you can see here, you're going to use this form as your workbook link to answer these questions 1 through 14. And then at the end, we're asking you to come up with 3 questions and answers that you feel really comfortable in answering and that you think that may be questioned by the interviewer when you attend that interview. So let's take a look at that workbook. So here we are. You click on that link and then you'll answer all the questions 1 through 14, and then you'll have an area here where you will actually enter your question and your answer for those 3 we requested. And then you're going to complete the remaining part of this as we discuss in a minute. So next is your RBT mock interview scenario. Instructions for completing this part of your assignment is to complete a role play exercise where you invite a family member, friend, or even your fellow student, where you will act as the interviewer and interviewee. And here is the role play scenario that you're going to use to complete this project. How is this helpful? This is very helpful because not only do you get to act as the interviewee and the interviewer, you role play both positions, and you get more comfortable in answering the questions as well as asking the questions. So it's a really good opportunity for you to be able to just get comfortable with that interview process. Next in your training guide is your mock interview evaluation. So here you're going to have your fellow student or your family member or the volunteer that you used in your mock interview as well as mock interviewer, and they're going to evaluate you. You're also going to evaluate yourself as well, as indicated in the previous instructions. So everything is really included in your training guide that is also available to you in Google Classroom. So let's take a quick look at the remaining items in your Google Classroom, which we've already visited, but here is where they're located so that you can easily find them in Classroom as well as in the training guide. So again, this is a look at the interview workbook. You're going to fill this out so that you answer all your questions 1 through 14, etc. And then you have your evaluation form where you're going to have your volunteer complete this interview workbook as the interviewer, etc. And then you're also going to evaluate yourself as well. All right. So that concludes this presentation of the interview for, for the RBT mock interview training module for the RBT work readiness development. Thank you and have a great day.